Welcome to the Vanilla To Vixen podcast. This show contains adult content, so if you are under 18 or easily offended, please switch off now. Mr. and Mrs. N are not qualified relationship counsellors. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Now the disclaimer is out of the way, sit back, relax, and enjoy our journey from Vanilla to Vixen.
Welcome to episode 83 of Vanilla to Vixen. We are your hosts, Mr. and Mrs. N, also known as...
The Naughty Couple.
That'll be the one.
I'm just checking Delicious Debs isn't hiding, trying to nick my line.
No, that was last week. We've not got to this week.
No, bless her.
I feel like one of my limbs is missing.
Yeah, I know, it feels weird.
Missing without Delicious Debs.
Yes.
She'll be back very soon. I'm very confident about it. In fact, we've got a lot going on, haven't we?
We've got quite a bit to talk about, haven't we?
We have got a lot this week. We're talking about Doritos and relationships. Can't wait to talk about that one.
Okay.
Doritos and relationships. There's a big study been done apparently, and it's all out on the media this week. We're talking about that. We're also talking about Vegas Vixens.
Yes.
Which is next week.
It is. It's a week today.
A week today in sunny Leicestershire.
We hope it's sunny.
It doesn't matter, it's indoors.
That is true. We'll bring the sunshine.
Of course we will.
Yes.
At Liberty Elite Club. And it's a special event. Newcomers are most welcome. And
it's Hollywood night.
I know. It's been a year since our last one.
Yeah, when we had to bring your little man out, didn't we?
Oh, don't start talking about the little man. I talked about that last week. You'll have to listen to last week, so I'm not talking about the little man again. Talking of Vegas, though, I do know a story about Vegas. I've told you this story about Vegas.
I have no idea.
The man walking down the Vegas Strip, and he sees a beautiful hooker on the side of the road, and he thinks, blimey, she's absolutely stunning. So he strikes up conversation, as you do. You know, we always say, go talk to strangers. And well, that's in clubs, probably not hookers, but anyway, he strikes up a beautiful conversation with her, and he asks her how much she charges, and the hooker replies, it starts at $500 for a hand job. And he goes, $500 for a hand job? No hand job is worth that sort of money. And the hooker says, do you see that newspaper stand just on the corner? And he says, yes. She says, I own 8 of those just through giving hand jobs, because my hand jobs are the best you ever likely to experience. So he gets a little bit sort of curious and says, all right then, we'll go off. So they go off to a motel, and he hands over $500. He's doing quite well for himself on the strip. So he thinks, oh, well, it's all winning. So I'll hand over $500 to her, and he gets a hand job. And it's the best hand job he's ever had in his life. Worth every penny of $500. Every cent, I should say, of $500. And he says, well, that was so good. He says, what else do you do? She says, well, I can give you a blowjob. And he says, well, how much is a blowjob? $1,000? She went, no. My blowjobs are $1,500. He says, $1,500 for a blowjob? No blowjob is worth $1,500. And she says, come to the window, look out here. So he gets up, has a look out the window. And she says, you see that casino over there? I own 3 of those casinos. She says, just through giving blowjobs. And he thinks, well, I've got to do it now. I've got to have a bit of this. So he lays back down. She gives him a $1,500 blowjob. Sure enough, he's basking in the afterglow. He thinks, God blimey, that's the best blowjob I've ever had. Unbelievable. Sent him into like subspace. Worth every penny of $1,500. And then he's sitting there and he's kind of puzzled now and he's thinking to himself, you know, I might have to ask for something else. So he says to her, you know, what else could you offer, you know? How much would you charge for a pussy? And she says, I have to think about this. Come to the window. Come to the window. So he gets up, looks out the window, and she says, do you see the whole of Las Vegas? You see all the lights, all the casinos, everything. And he looks at her and he says, do you own the whole of Las Vegas? She says, no, but I would do if I had a pussy. Oh, there you go.
Oh, bless you. That was a good one.
It took a while, but we got there in the end.
Exactly.
Like the $1,500 blowjob.
I'm just starting to think maybe, you know, I need to look at a new career.
Welcome. So yes, our Vegas is on in next week.
It is. So there are still a few spaces left on the guest list.
Yes, unfortunately, we've had a couple of couples that have had to cancel and pull out.
Yes.
So we've got a few spaces for couples. We've got single guys and single girls.
Yes.
So at the minute, the ratio is not too bad. We have to kind of like balance the ratios so we don't have too many single guys and whatever. We like to sort of plan it out so that everybody, you know, has a good time. And of course, it's for newcomers, so there's no pressure, there's no expectations. You can just go and dance if you want to our fabulous DJ. The night is yours.
Absolutely. So, you know, even if you just thinking to yourselves, I really want to go to a club, but I'm too nervous, this is the night for you.
Absolutely.
Because we are there to hold your hand. Sort of. Metaphorically. Not literally. Unless obviously you want us to, and then, you know, that's a whole different ball game.
There's no pressure, no expectations, remember.
Exactly. So if you do want to get on the guest list, then you can contact us via which methods, Mr. N?
You can contact us as in the programme notes. You can contact us on Fab Swingers. We are Naughty Couple, spelled NAUGHTYCP1. Or you can email us, naughtycouple@yahoo.com. Or you can now get us on Spicy Match.
Spicy Match.
We'll talk more about that on another episode. Spicy Match is the brand new social media platform for swingers. As we've talked about it before, it's not brand new, but it is sort of brand new, promoted in the UK.
Yes.
So it's all of a sudden really picking up steam, and we like it. It's good.
We do like it.
It is very good.
It's a bit like Facebook, isn't it?
It is very similar. It's apart from it's a naughty Facebook.
A naughty Facebook.
In fact, I might call it that. Spicy Match, the naughty Facebook.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Hashtag naughty Facebook.
Naughty Facebook. That'll be trending next week.
It will be. It will be. So we've had quite a busy week this week, Mr. N.
Yes, so this week we attended a brand new event at Liberty Elite called Secret House. And it's Secret House meets House Rocks.
Yes.
So House Rocks is an internet radio station that sort of primarily is a house music radio station.
Yes.
So it's a very different kind of party at Liberty Elite.
It was.
To what any of really that they already have.
Yeah.
So it was full of very young couples, wasn't it?
It definitely had a young vibe to it, didn't it?
Very young vibe, definitely. Into sort of the house music. We had a lot of house fans.
Yes.
There was the
dance floor was full.
The dance floor was absolutely packed. Yeah. And they brought their own PA system along.
They did.
Yeah, the whole place was literally rocking to house music, and it was very, very nice to watch.
There was lots of eye candy for you, Mr. N, wasn't there?
There was, yes, quite a lot of eye candy, certainly. Yes, definitely indeed. They had the Team Egg girls.
Yes, they did.
They were encouraging people to dance all through the night.
Yeah.
And it was good. It was a good night. I'm still recovering.
Do you think we're getting too old for this now?
Never. And we did meet the most beautiful couple.
We did.
Absolutely beautiful.
Can I just say, because this is quite ironic and it's quite funny, because what do we always tell people to do when they go to a club?
Talk to a stranger.
Yes. But we also say, if you go into Liberty Elite, don't go and sit on the sofas.
No.
Because it kind of isolates you from the rest of the crowd.
It does. But we'd already done Dark Desires the night before.
We had. So we were a little weary.
I mean, Dark Desires, as you know, I'm a big R&B and reggae fan. Well, you probably don't know, but you do now. So I'm a huge reggae and R&B fan. And Dark Desires, that is their party. They're just really cool. And I had kind of like, reggae'd myself out the night before. It was brilliant. I enjoyed that. And so I was a little bit like, after party, and then we were rocking all over again to house music.
Exactly. So we did the one thing we always tell people not to do, and we went and sat on one of the sofas.
Just to recover.
And also we were doing a bit of people watching, which was good fun.
Yeah, it was all brand new to us.
Yeah.
And it felt completely different. Some of the furniture was moved out to make room for sort of like the younger sort of dancers and everything else. It felt very different. They had their own selfie booth.
Yes, they did, yeah.
Which was brand new. That's never been done before. So it felt very different, didn't it?
But even though we were sat on one of the sofas, loads of people came up to say hi.
We did, yes. We had a few of the other members that came along just to see what it was all about. It was good. It was good. And we met this fantastic Romanian couple.
We did.
Beautiful. Big shout out to you if you're listening.
You know who you are.
And they taught me the most amazing thing. So I learned a little bit of Romanian.
You do like to pick up languages now and again, don't you?
I did, because I was talking, because we actually had a Romanian neighbour.
We did.
Beautiful couple, and we got sort of chatting to them, and they went, "Oh, you must come over and have a barbecue," and that was it. I discovered that Romanian food and me get along very well.
It was lovely.
I know, because it's Romanian food is just like meat and more meat.
Exactly. So apologies for any vegetarians listening.
It's just meat with a bit of meat and a bit more meat. And I'm like, I'm buying my ticket. I'm off. It's brilliant. I love it. And they were sort of teaching me the difference between North Romania and South Romania, and it's so cool. And I was sort of chatting and say, I know, kind of learnt a bit about Romania because of our Romanian neighbours. And he's like, "Do you know any Romanian?" And I'm like, "No, but I think I now want to." He got that cheeky smile on his face. I knew something good was coming of this. And he taught me that kiss in Romanian is pussy. Pussy.
Yeah.
So
we had a little titter over that one, didn't we?
And he said his wife works at the same place he does. And he said, she was going off one shift, she was going off. And he was like, "Pussy, pussy, kiss, kiss." And so, and then I can't quite remember the full thing, but it's like, fat pussy, fat pussy. I'm like, why did I not know this? From now on, everyone I meet now, I'm just going to go, fat pussy, fat pussy.
You might need to be a little bit careful with that.
Yeah, I suppose. But that made my night.
I know. But in their accent as well.
It was just brilliant.
It was just, and we had quite a lot of giggles that night with them, didn't we?
Yeah,
just some of the things we were saying, they was like, well, how to translate it from English to Romanian, and it was hilarious. But they were a beautiful couple, so thank you for keeping us entertained.
The best night. Thank you for making the night just the best night.
It was.
For us.
It was brilliant. It was brilliant.
And the other thing that's been happening this week is the Doritos theory has kind of gone viral across the internet.
So before we go on and talk about all this, we have a question for our resident agony aunt.
Would that be the beautiful Roxy?
It is, and it is that time.
Ask Roxy.
Hi, Roxy.
Hi, guys. How are you?
We're very good, thank you.
Yes, we're super, thank you, my lovely. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much.
Jolly good. We've had an interesting question this one. I know all the questions are quite interesting.
All the questions are always interesting. Is this an extra specially interesting
It
one?
is, because this is a subject that's sort of been bouncing around for the last few weeks that we've said, oh yeah, we really should talk about it a little bit more.
Okay then, here we go.
So it's a question that's been sent in anonymously.
Okay.
And the question is, dear Roxy, quick question for you, if you don't mind. We were thinking of getting STI checked, and we were weighing up the pros and cons of home test kits over going to a clinic. What do you think? We had a look in the Fab forums, and it looks like people get tested about every 3 months, which seems fine if you regularly play. Any advice would be much appreciated.
Good question.
Oh, it is a good question, and also very, very important subject. And, it's something that I guess we all do. We don't necessarily talk about it, but I think, actually we need to bust the stigma of getting tested, because it is very important.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of the question, I've generally always gone to clinics. That's my personal preference. And because I'm in a lucky situation where there are a number of clinics in this area that you can just make appointments and go to. So, and I think just in terms of the different tests you can have, and the sort of, you wouldn't necessarily just go in for like one swab. You have a couple of different things you're tested for, but also, it depends on how you play. You want to make sure your throat's tested, you want to make sure your genitals tested, that sort of thing. If you have anal play, again, you want to make sure you're tested there too. So I don't think it's enough just to, some home kits I think are just one swab test.
Very limited, very limited, yeah.
So I think I would suggest at least once, maybe twice a year, going, if you can, to a clinic and having a full panel of tests.
A full sexual MOT.
Yeah, absolutely. And then in the interim, I've seen, home tests, if you're testing once every 3 months, which I think again is, if you are playing quite a lot, that is a reasonable amount of time. As long as you're non-symptomatic, a home test in between every 3 months, I think would be perfectly fine. Some people might say that's a little bit too much. I think we can't be too careful with our health. So
excellent, yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, the days of, like you say, of having to go to, specialist clinics and that, you don't even need to do that if you are a little bit embarrassed about that.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
I was just going to say, some people might be anxious about going to a clinic, the stigma attached to it, and I mean, what sort of advice would you offer to somebody that hasn't been to a clinic before?
Do you know what? My first time, oh my God, it was horrific, absolutely horrific. I was so scared. But then that was in my head, and I'm going to say it's exactly the same as, not exactly the same quite really, but the fear you have before you walk through the front door of a club for the first time, because you have no idea what to expect on the other side of that door. And it's the same with the clinic. You don't know whether the people are going to judge you. Why they're going to think, what are they going to think about me because I'm here? Like, actually, they are so welcoming, so lovely, couldn't be more helpful, because the fact that you are there means you're being responsible with your own sexual health. Regardless of some people would, in the vanilla world, will get tested between partners. If they've broken up with a partner and starting seeing someone new, they'll go and have a test.
Yeah.
It's just reasonable behaviour.
Yeah.
Especially in a day and age where there's certain diseases that are becoming more and more resistant to antibiotics.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just a responsible thing to do. But in the same way, you can, and in some places, I think the only option you have to is home tests.
Yeah.
So there is that option there too. But I think making sure you just have the most wide variety of tests possible. Some areas are lucky to get free home testing.
Yeah.
You go to a clinic, that's free. And in some areas, people have to pay for it. But so it just depends, I think, on your primary care trust. But it's definitely the most responsible thing to do is to make sure you're doing that on a regular basis. Even if you play safe all the time, there is, there's possibilities of bodily fluids getting mixed. I think it's just responsible. If we're going to be in this lifestyle, we should protect ourselves and each other, the people we're playing with.
absolutely brilliant advice.
Yeah.
Very sensible. And like you say, it doesn't cost anything. There's no embarrassment, really. They're professionals. They've seen everything all before.
It's also good for your own peace of mind as well, isn't it? And
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely. And if you have any sort of a symptom, do not wait. Go and get tested straight away, because some people are symptom free. Some people have symptoms. Some people can have things for many years and not realise if they're not getting tested regularly enough. So it's, every 3 months, I would say, is reasonable. And in between, if you have symptoms, then definitely don't wait for your next, regular slot.
Awesome. Thank you, Roxy.
Thank you, my lovely.
And we shall see you very soon. When's your next Dangerous Curves event?
We are back on the 15th of March for DC's 5th birthday.
Of course,
Yes, it's happy birthday.
It's the 5th birthday.
What is 5? What's that? I know paper is 1, isn't it?
Anniversaries.
Anniversaries,
I think it actually varies. So it depends if our listeners in the UK and in America, because they're different anniversaries for different things. Is it rope?
I'm just going to have
It'd be quite appropriate if it was rope, wouldn't it?
I'm just going to have a quick look if it tells me. Okay. Oh, it's wood.
Wood?
Yes.
There'll be a lot of wood there, I hope.
Anybody think we practice that?
We always say, go to Liberty Elite with no expectations, but there you go. There'll be a lot of wood.
Try and avoid the planks.
So if there is anybody that'd like to get on the guest list for the Dangerous Curves 5th birthday, my lovely, how can they contact you?
So usual if it's Fab Swingers, we are at Dangerous Curves Parties. We've got a Gmail account, so dangerouscurvesparties@gmail.com. And we are also on Spicy Match. Again, Dangerous Curves Parties on Spicy Match.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Before you go, help me decide. We were trying to think of things. First of all, I started thinking about things what I liked when I was 5, and then I thought, actually, it's probably not all about me, really. So,
Of course it's all about you, Roxy.
Well, I didn't think we'd get away with having jelly and ice cream, and then I thought maybe jelly and ice cream in a huge paddling pool, and then we could all do some splashing. But then I thought this might tell us off and making a mess, so I don't think that'll go down very well. So then I'm thinking, well, what about the music that was around 5 years ago? Fashion obviously hasn't changed too much.
Pass the parcel. You could have a pass the parcel.
Yeah. What can we do to celebrate 5 years? Some of the listeners maybe can write in and tell us what they think we should do for 5 years.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
All I can think is some sort of sexy version of the bumps or pass the parcel.
Musical chairs.
Yeah, that could be a good one.
My brain is getting down to a rabbit hole we probably shouldn't.
Yeah, I know. To be honest, as soon as I said that, I just thought, okay, that, yeah.
As normal, we've just descended into filth.
Oh, well, if anybody has any ideas of what Dangerous Curves can do to celebrate their 5th birthday, please let us know and we'll pass the ideas on to Roxy.
You could send them straight to Roxy.
Exactly.
Yeah, see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Ask Roxy. And the other thing that's been happening this week is the Doritos theory has kind of gone viral across the internet.
Right.
Have you not heard about this, Mrs. N?
I have not.
Good. I'm surprised you've not heard this, because you're like a right TikToker.
I do like going on TikTok. It's my way of just switching off for a little while.
I call it ADHD TV.
I know you do. Drives you insane, doesn't it, while I'm flicking?
Soon you kind of get used to one thing, and then you're flipping again, and it's like... No, I prefer, I'm a bit old school. I like YouTube and sitting and watching stuff. That's me.
It is, my lovely.
Learning, about astrophysics and boring shit, as Dev's always said.
Yeah, exactly. Come on then, enlighten me about Doritos.
So the Doritos theory, which has been popularised on TikTok this week, explains how unsatisfying experiences can lead to addictive habits.
Okay.
So, believe it or not, people are actually breaking up after realising that their unhealthy relationships are similar to eating a pack of Doritos.
Explain.
Well, Doritos, certain foods are not particularly fulfilling. They're just addictive.
Okay.
So crisps.
Yeah.
You can't have one crisp.
Oh God, no.
And just be fulfilled on that.
No.
So what you do, you eat the crisp, the Dorito in this case, chips if you're in America, and you eat your Dorito and it's not fulfilling. It's just, you need another one straight away.
Okay.
And so people have realised that being in certain, toxic relationships and unhappy relationships, it doesn't actually make them happy. And so it's an addictive habit and they just go back for more.
Oh.
I know. I think it's a bit of bollocks myself. But it's spreading all over the place. And it kind of got me thinking, we obviously call the naughty hobby.
Yes.
It is a hobby. We don't class it as a lifestyle.
No, I don't like that phrase because it isn't a lifestyle.
No, I mean, even us, where it takes up a lot of time now.
Yeah.
A lot of weekends, and we try and sort of experience as many things as possible. But even us, it's not a 24/7 thing.
No, not at all. We have other things outside of the hobby.
Exactly. We have other hobbies outside that hobby.
Exactly. It's still getting very confusing.
And so I thought to myself, well, is the hobby satisfying? Is it an addictive habit? Because as we've said before, swinging can be very addictive.
Absolutely.
You can go to an event and you get really excited in the same way that, with junk food and things like that, it fulfills that dopamine hit.
Yeah.
If you're just even in a shop and you see a packet of crisps or chocolate, I've got to have it.
It's a bit of a craving.
Yes, but the minute you've had it, it's unfulfilling and you want another one. So in the same sort of way, it does happen like with swinging. You get excited going to an event and the build-up and, the adrenaline. And then afterwards, you do get that drop.
Yeah.
You get a low from an event that sort of many of our friends have talked about.
Yeah.
And so that can be an addiction. But then I thought to myself, well, the sex can be that way, the sexy part of it. But I think it does leave you with a certain fulfillment.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Do you think?
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that. Because not only do you get that almost immediate fix, especially if you're in a couple, that can last for several days, weeks, months, whatever.
Do you think?
Afterwards. Yeah, because it has for us.
There are certain couples that don't do the whole friendship thing. They don't want it.
No.
They just do the sex thing.
Yeah.
And they don't want to actually know anything about anybody there.
No, exactly.
And I kind of got to thinking then, well, is that, is that part of it, almost like a craving and an addiction, is it?
Obviously, there are people that do have sex addiction, so... But
I do have quite an addictive personality.
You have an incredibly addictive personality.
And I usually cure myself by...
You binge.
I binge and then go cold turkey.
Yeah.
And this is the truth.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I literally... If there was a fruit machine, well, that was having all my money. Which, I know it's a serious conversation and I jest, but I did. When I was younger, that was it. That scene in In-Betweeners where you can't buy a drink, I've put it all in the fruity. That was me.
Yeah, but it wasn't just things like that. I mean, since I've known you, since we've been together,
yes,
and the many years we've been married, you do it with food.
Yeah.
So you will find something you like and you will literally binge on it week after week after week, and then all of a sudden it just stops and you don't want it anymore.
That's true. That is true. But I cure myself through binging on it, which is always why I'm very careful, why I've never touched any illegal substances or anything in my life, because it's like I am aware I have an addictive personality. And,
Yeah, I mean, the problem we have with the food thing is unfortunately, sometimes you don't tell me that you've gone cold turkey until after we've filled the cupboards full of whatever it is you were
This is quite correct.
craving at the time.
This is quite correct. So if anybody wants to buy 200 packs of Doritos... No, not really. 149, at one. Anyway, I kind of thought, well, obviously people do have sex addictions.
They do.
And when we first did a swinging club, when we first went to Liberty Elite, we did binge.
We did binge, yeah.
I was like, I fucking love this place. We'll be back next week.
We did literally like 4 weeks on the trot, didn't we?
We did. We did a whole month of just keep going back. Because all the parties were different and we just wanted to experience all of it.
Yes.
But I didn't do the thing of then giving it up.
You haven't, you haven't gone off it,
No.
which I'm pleased to say.
Yes, no. With a lot of things with what I do is kind of binge on it and then go, nah.
Yeah.
I've had enough of that now. Horse racing.
Yes.
Horse racing. I was convinced. I had a dream. A bloody dream about this horse. And I was convinced this horse was going to win. And it didn't. Bloody went and lost.
It did.
And he had 3 legs. And then after that, because I put quite a bit of my monies on this bloody nag.
Yeah, which you didn't tell me until the actual beginning of the race.
No, we went to the horse race and it was rubbish. It lost. And that, the kind of low of that, I think if I get an extreme low, that kind of puts me off it. I thank God I've got, I don't know what the word is, restraint, I suppose. That I think, no, I don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
So luckily, I don't suffer from that kind of thing of having to go back for more, thank God.
Yeah.
Because I know it is, we jest, but it is a very serious, addictions are incredibly serious and they can kill you.
Absolutely.
And I suddenly, I kind of combined it and I was thinking, well, if you combine, this whole Doritos theory with that, but there is an underbelly, isn't there, an underlying depth with friendships that is just so much more, and that is the satisfying part of the lifestyle or naughty hobby.
Yes, it is. I agree totally, because I think, which is why we call it a hobby and not a lifestyle, and we have spoken to many people that have dipped in and out of it. So you could look at it that they have fulfilled their craving. And then...
That's very interesting, because when we first met John, the previous owner of Liberty Elite, he initially did say to us that fetish people are kind of, it's intrinsic in them.
Yes.
They know from a very, very early age, around sort of puberty, they know something is there. And we've also talked to Roxy about this.
I was just about to say we had a conversation with Roxy about this, didn't we?
A beautiful Roxy, and she kind of said to us, from a young age, she knew it was something was inside it.
Yeah.
She got no label for it. But she
and when it is like that, that is a lifestyle. It's the way you live your life.
It's intrinsic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's part of who you are.
And a lot of fat people will wear sort of the necklaces or
the collars,
collars, or some of them wear cuffs and things, different things, and so that is a permanent 24-hour, 7-day-a-week thing.
Absolutely.
Although they're not tied up.
No, but it's still there,
and they feel naked without it.
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas a swinger doesn't feel. Got to wear me upside down pineapple. Got to wear me upside down the pineapple slippers. We don't, do we?
No, we don't.
We're almost like I always call it it's almost like my superhero cape swinging.
Yeah, it's the thing you can take out of the closet.
Yeah, I am me. But then sometimes I like being Mr. N. And being at the club.
Yeah, it is nice. And I also think that, and I know we've spoken about this many times and in previous podcasts, that we've always said if it got to the point where, we weren't enjoying it anymore, that we could stop.
It is. I mean,
and we said that, but the only thing I wouldn't be able to give up is the friendships,
which would make it very difficult. We've known swingers that have perhaps sort of stopped going into the playrooms.
Yeah,
but they've remained going to clubs and,
which is
socialising.
What I would have to do. I wouldn't be able to give it up completely, but if we ever got to the point where it's like we didn't want to play with other people anymore, I still couldn't give up that part of the lifestyle.
Yeah. It must be very hard for couples where one person still wants to do it.
Yeah, I mean, that is difficult, isn't it? And how do you deal with that?
Answers on a postcard.
Yeah, because that is really, really hard, because obviously
at the end of the day, we both know that if one side of the couple isn't having fun, neither side of the couple has fun.
Exactly. I mean, I think if I came to you and just said, you know, I'm not getting anything out of playing with other people, but I love the social side of it, and I love the friendships that we've made and everything else. I think I could 100% say that you would support me.
Absolutely.
Because
we've had nights at the club which we've kind of documented in our book, Vanilla to Vixen, where in the very beginning you felt an issue that because you didn't do pussy sex at the time that you didn't feel normal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you almost felt like you shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Which was ridiculous. And obviously, you know how everybody has different kinks, everybody has different styles of doing things, even different styles of sex.
Exactly.
And I was obviously fully supportive of you and went, no, we stop now.
Yeah.
You know, we stop now. And we talked about it. And, you know, it was one of those situations where, because you weren't having a good time, the whole scenario then changed for me.
Yeah.
Because the last thing I want to do is sit there and watch you upset. And, you know, I'm quite sensitive to your moods and your...
You're incredibly sensitive.
And so I know straight away when something is wrong and not right.
Exactly, you do.
And so only a really sort of ignorant person is going to just sit there and want to carry on.
It is hard for the person that all of a sudden isn't feeling that, because even though I knew I had your support fully and we talked about it and we talked how to deal with it, I still carried a lot of guilt with that.
And I think as well, I mean, we obviously talked about it and pretty much after a couple of weeks we were straight back into the hobby.
Yeah, exactly.
But had it been a longer time, being honest, I think I would have, of course I would have been honest with you and said, you know, I would have missed it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's the important thing, even depending on what time scale it is, it's still important that you communicate with each other and you still tell each other how you feel, because otherwise it then turns into a big issue, and then people start to blame the other one, and then it's like, and then we get messages, don't we, from, you know, I'm really curious, I want to do this, but my other half isn't into it. How can I get them to come? You know,
I think that comes down to, I'm going to bang the communication drum again, but it does come down to communicating how you can communicate with each other.
Yeah.
So the first question is, well, what do you like about going to a club?
Yeah.
Or perhaps for other couples, it's what perhaps they might just like private meets. Perhaps the sex is completely off the table for the time being, and they might just want to go to the club just to socialise and dance or whatever.
Yeah, which we know a lot of people that do that anyway.
Exactly. But I think it is sort of hard, very hard, to genuinely have no expectations.
I totally agree with that. And I think if people were 100% honest with themselves, they would probably say the same thing, even though that's what we tell people to do. Because unfortunately, if you do have expectations, you could end up having the worst night ever. Well,
if your partner if you've gone and you've agreed that you're just going to go and it's going to be purely a platonic night almost.
Yes.
It's just going to be dancing and socialising, then that is what it has to be. And if anything else happens, we all know sort of that being in the club can be a very sensual environment. It can be very sexy.
Of course it can. It's very sexually charged atmosphere when you're there, even when you're just in the social area. And I think what we try and do, especially with people that come to our events, because a lot of them are newbies, and haven't even stepped foot in a club before, is to try and take that pressure off.
Yeah.
Because obviously there are still people out there, we know, that believe that you walk into a swingers club and you walk in and there's just people having sex left, right and centre, or you're expected to have sex.
Absolutely. And I think it doesn't, that sort of terminology doesn't just apply to newbies. You can feel under pressure if you've been in the scene a while and then you suddenly lost your mojo a bit.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden then you feel under pressure because you're trying to keep on that same level as your partner.
And it's interesting you bring that up, actually, because we had conversations recently with friends of ours, and this has happened to me as well, where you're playing with somebody else, say another guy, single guy, and I don't know whether they're feeling more pressure to perform, which then has an effect on their performance. And then as the receiver of that, you automatically assume it's your fault.
Of course.
And you think, oh, they obviously don't fancy me, or they're not finding me, sexually attractive.
It's a very difficult lesson that most ladies will experience in the hobby.
Yeah.
At some point, you're probably going to meet a gentleman where it doesn't quite happen.
Yeah, exactly. And it's no reflect on you at all.
You can't take it personally.
No, not at all. But it's very difficult in the beginning. And I'm sure there's lots of ladies out there that will sit there and nod and say, oh, yeah, I've had that happen to me.
And it's equally as hard for the guy.
Exactly.
Because the guy literally has to say, look, it's not you, because he's feeling embarrassed. I've been in that situation. It wasn't the very first time that I played with somebody else, but when I was suddenly in the big room with somebody else at Liberty Elite, was like, whoa, okay, I'm kind of feeling a bit of pressure now.
Yeah, because, there's so much going on and obviously a lot of activity that, you can put that pressure on yourself, can't you?
And you think how familiar we are with the club.
Yeah.
So if it happens to me, it can happen to other people.
I have to be honest, my thought process when we go to the club is I don't have that expectation at all.
I do. I always think this is going to be fucking amazing. There's that binge moment again.
And I have had conversations with single guys where they may have been playing previously and, we've got chatting or, there's a little bit of chemistry going on there and things start to happen. And then it's all of a sudden, I don't think I've got any fuel left in the tank. And I am completely honest with this when I say it to them. It's like, it's fine.
Yeah.
It really does not matter. I'm just happy being here and just having a little bit of touching, bit of sensual play. You don't
like
need to
anyway.
have a final destination.
Exactly. And I wonder if that's that term playing. Somebody asked me that at the weekend. Somebody had said to me, why is it called playing? And it was quite an interesting question. Because it's one that I don't really know the answer to.
Yeah, it's a good question, actually, because we do call it playing.
It's genuinely known right across, I think, even across the pond.
Yeah.
I think it's almost universally swinging is playing. Whether it's a more kind of endearing term rather than I'm just going off to fuck someone.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but we always say the hobby, it's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to enjoy it. All parties are supposed to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if that's where the term playing comes from, because when you think of playing, you think of a fun time.
Yeah, it might not be full sex. So I suppose the term playing suits that better.
Yeah. I mean, when we first met, and I obviously had to tell you about my problem, and at that point I hadn't had sex for over 2 years. I didn't know if I could have sex again. And I remember talking to you and saying, you probably don't want to be with me because I can't have full sex. And you honestly said to me, but there's so much more. There are other ways to be intimate and get that sexual
buzz.
That's the word. I couldn't think of the word. And you've taught me that. And so, even if we do play at the club, sometimes I like it where it's not full sex. I like the playing. One
thing I've learned is there's so many. I mean, even, all right, I said that when I met you, but all those years ago. But I've learned so much more about sex now, so much more. And I go and I see guys, and I've said this on the podcast before, where you see guys performing and you think, Jesus, it's like a stud farm. And you go, I couldn't do that. I couldn't last that long. I couldn't, whatever, But the secret to enjoying and it being a fulfilling hobby is realising that everybody's different.
Absolutely.
There's ladies like you that enjoy the sensation play of it.
Yes.
There are ladies, and we've spoken to them, where they've gone, nope, I like to be fucked hard and not be able to walk the following morning.
Yeah. And we have witnessed.
Absolutely. And so again, it's communicating. It's very naive of anybody to think they can just walk into a club and they might see a gorgeous sort of single girl at the bar or whatever, if they're a single guy. They might go in there, see a gorgeous single girl, click, but you might not click sexually with that person.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing I think is important to tell let people hear about is just because somebody plays a certain way with one person doesn't mean they'll play exactly the same way with you.
That's a very good point.
And a very good friend of ours, who we absolutely adore, Mr. Saucy.
Yes.
I actually watched him have sex with another woman. And it was completely different to when we'd played.
Oh.
And he wasn't actually aware that he did that.
Really?
Yeah. And it was really interesting because I said, no, you obviously knew, because obviously people that know me know it has to be gentle, and
he was just instinctive.
Very.
Just instinctive.
Yeah, so don't ever be put off if you see somebody playing and think to yourself, oh, I'd really like to play with them, but I don't like it that way. Because they don't necessarily play with you that way, and you must communicate that. Yeah. I know I've had women that have asked me before that have said, oh, I don't like it that way, so I'd be really nervous about playing with somebody. And I've said to them, well, you just tell them.
There's more than one way to cook an egg.
There certainly is.
That's the thing. And I mean, certainly for us, I enjoy the variety that you see, even just watching. And I'm talking about sort of the playrooms.
Yes.
I enjoy the variety of seeing the different sexual activity that goes on. It makes it interesting. It makes it sexy.
It does. I find it quite funny how you can be in such a vulnerable position, being naked and having sex with somebody, not necessarily a complete stranger, but it could be
a virtual stranger.
A virtual stranger. But you don't feel comfortable enough to communicate with them. Because I certainly was like that in the beginning.
And you probably should. Really, you should probably, to get the better sex. I don't know. I mean, there's no rules.
I just wonder whether sometimes we do it the wrong way round. So we always say, it's good to communicate and it's good to make connections with people. And that's why we sort of say, when people come to our events, talk to 3 strangers or do this or do that. Because then that should make it easier that when you are in that vulnerable position of being naughty.
I suppose the ultimate spontaneity of literally almost a virtual stranger, occasionally that can happen in the playroom.
Of course it can.
And
Absolutely can.
That can be really exciting.
It can, yes. But I'm finding more now as our journey evolves, as Mr. Horney would say, that, and I think you would agree with me, you like communication through sex. You like being spoken to, talked to. You like the naughtiness. You like being like dirty talk.
Do you think that's because you work out for yourself as you go along what you find sexy, and I wonder if we almost become more picky as we go along.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. In the beginning, I always said to you, I don't feel comfortable even with you. Somebody, I'm married to you. We've been most intimate in everything, but I still felt a little bit weird about talking dirty to you, which I know sounds ridiculous, but it is, especially if you've not done it before, or if it isn't in your nature.
Yeah.
Because believe it or not, I used to be quite a really shy person.
Don't believe it for
I know,
1 minute,
I know,
listeners.
everybody's laughing.
Don't believe it for 1 minute.
Pick yourselves up off the floor. I know, but I was.
Yeah.
When we used to do camming in the beginning,
I know.
I'd be like, they can watch, but don't ask me to speak to them.
It almost fulfilled like an exhibitionist streak in you that you didn't even know existed.
That's true. And that just goes to show how much you do evolve when you're in the hobby.
But you don't know what your kinks are in the beginning. You go along with it. Your kinks are instinctive in you. I think I've always had a naughty girl, hot wife kink in me.
Yeah.
But you don't know labels. You don't know, what that is. If somebody said to me years and years ago, you've got a naughty girl, hot wife kink, I'm like, what the fuck
What
are you
the hell's
talking
that?
about? Yeah, I'd have disagreed with them. And that is truly what learning about yourself is in the hobby. You learn all these terms and you learn all about the different kinks. And ultimately, you learn about yourself. I think you learn being in this lifestyle that you evolve sexually so much. Your kinks evolve so much.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at where we first started to where we are now, it's completely different. And it's different for everybody. For me, I like to be told I'm a naughty girl. That gets me going. But I also know there's women out there that like to be told they're good girls.
Do you think you like being a naughty girl because that's my kink?
Yeah.
And so and that's something that's just grown and grown and grown because of, do you think you take on some of the kink of your partner?
I think you do. Yeah, I think you do. I certainly have, because I know you like the dirty talk. You've always said, a certain percentage of sex is all in the mind.
Yeah, a huge percentage.
Yeah. So when somebody can get into your head and turn you on that way, the reaction that you get, so me talking to you in a dirty way or telling you I'm your naughty girl or your dirty girl or whatever, the reaction I get from you, then
it's almost subliminally pleases you.
Yeah.
And so then you look for that, but then in other sex.
Exactly. So I've carried that through to if I've played with other people, and then they say, you're a naughty girl or whatever. That I kind of then relive what we have.
And I've played with someone who likes to be a good girl.
Yes.
And it almost like, say what? it's like a different language. It's like I'm not used to that.
So when you think of somebody being told they're a good girl, you just think it's very nice and whatever. But if you say it in the right way,
I got it and understood it.
Yeah,
you can't just suddenly switch. I guess it's like a sub suddenly becoming a dom upon request kind of thing. You can't just suddenly get your head around it. I think it takes some time to get used to that and go, I see that, and you could get into it. But I don't think it's something you can adjust to immediately.
No. So let me put a question to you.
Okay.
So if you were playing with someone, would you prefer them to turn around and say, look, I like to be spoken to in this way, or I like to be fucked in this way, or this is what turns me on? Or would you prefer them not to say it and you kind of do your thing?
Oh, no, I want to know.
Because I think I would prefer to say to somebody, if you tell me I'm a naughty girl and that really gets me going. Like I said, I love kissing. Kissing is a very sexual thing for me and it gets me going.
I think it depends how you're asked. If you were standing for instance, at the bar at Liberty Elite, I'm not going to say in typical female fashion.
Are you about to get lynched, mate?
I remember a sketch by Billy Connolly. Billy Connolly, one of my comedy idols. And I remember he says, with women, you want less of this, more of this, fucking all of that. And plenty more of that. That might be like, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I think you need to pick your moment. You need to be in the right environment when you suddenly decide to give instructions.
If she was reading it out like a shopping list, I might, But if it was just brought up in sort of general conversation and
put yourself in a scenario then. So
I would want to know
exactly. So
I would 100%
say we were playing,
know.
but obviously we weren't us, if you know what I mean. And we were kissing and everything, and I turned around to you and said, I really like being told I'm a naughty girl. In that kind of scenario,
I'd need a tissue. But yeah, no, because I'm naturally a pleaser.
Yeah,
I like, that I prefer pleasing rather than actually probably being pleased myself. That's just me. Yeah. And so I would want to know. Otherwise, I would feel like it would just be pointless to me.
Yeah,
I get a lot more pleasure out of pleasing than I do sort of being pleased.
There's a lot of men I think would agree with you on that. I know that we've spoken to lots of single guys and everything else. And
one thing I think we've discovered is there's an awful lot of pleasers in the lifestyle.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. But one thing that gets me sometimes, and I don't know whether it's because of my problem, I can't always orgasm because obviously I don't do pussy play, and I can orgasm through anal.
You do occasionally do pussy play.
I do if she's behaving and she's in a good mood, and it's a good day. Yes, I can.
But 9 times out of 10, you prefer just.
Well, it's sometimes I just feel because a lot of men, it's all about the final.
The final crescendo.
Yes, exactly. It puts a lot of pressure on me then, and I will say, it's okay. I don't need to be fulfilled. I don't need to come, but they get very disappointed if I say that.
And I think that there's a difference between that is basically putting pressure on a woman.
Yeah,
you are putting pressure on a woman to say, "I want you to orgasm."
Yeah,
and some guys don't understand that's just as bad as they wouldn't dream of pressuring a woman in other ways.
No,
but they'll pressure. Well, I want to make you come. I want to make you come.
Yeah.
And I think some guys don't get that, it is all about I've learned with you that it is all about the fun of just enjoying what you're doing, not the actual sort of finish.
Yeah. It's a bit like people that don't drink. The people that do drink sometimes have a problem with the people that don't drink because they think they need the drink to be able to enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't need drink to enjoy myself. I can enjoy myself completely sober. I mean, I can understand the people that just say, I have a drink just to relax me. And
it's about, as I say, the guys that probably do put pressure on women that they want them to orgasm.
Yeah.
It's just about them sort of chilling out a little bit and just going, okay, and just learning and understanding that women don't have to have an orgasm. I think sex is different for a man than it is a woman.
Yeah.
By the very nature, it is the build-up and the climax with men. I think you'll find very few men that say, no, I can just have sex for half an hour or an hour or whatever, and then just pack up and go to the shops.
So from a male perspective, if you had sex and didn't come, would you be frustrated with that? Would you feel that you didn't?
I wouldn't need to come sort of by penetration, but I feel it is all. I think for men, most men would need to finish off. Yeah. In whatever way, if it's just sort of coming over a woman or whatever, or even just coming, having a wank after you finish. But I think there have been occasions when we've been out at the club, we've played, and then for whatever reason, somebody's thrown grapes to me whilst on the bed, Roman style. And I jest.
That did happen.
It's
true, it happened.
But yeah, I think, that it is different for a guy. I think understanding most women's perception of sex, it's not all about the final goal. But I think for the guys, I do think, whilst it's not all about the orgasm, I think you'll find plenty of guys. I myself, I can play for a bit, stop, play for a bit, stop. But I think you do need to finish off because you do get frustrated.
Oh, okay.
Perhaps that's just me.
It's an interesting conversation. It's just, I'm intrigued by it.
Dear listener, if you want to join in and tell me otherwise, you can write to us, the naughty couple at yahoo.com or NAUGHTYCP1 on Fab Swingers or Spicy Match.
Yeah, I think that is a good conversation starter, that one.
It is. And I think when you're at a club, I think those kind of conversations can always be had.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that somebody's going to jump on you. It's the one place that you can talk about sex openly and just enjoy the subject of it.
Absolutely.
So next week, what's happening next week?
Now, it's very exciting. Next week,
we've got the wonderful...
Sexy squirrels.
Sexy squirrels that do curvaceous creatures.
At Purple Mamba.
They do. And they're coming on Vanilla to Vixen, especially to titillate your ears. We cannot wait to see them.
No, we've been trying to get them back on the podcast, haven't we? Because it's been a long time since they came on. Many episodes ago.
I know.
So yeah, we can't wait to chat to them, find out what they've been up to, and
absolutely
how the event's going, and just generally what's been going on.
And if you, dear listener, want to get involved, if you fancy a road trip, there are spaces available. Not very often that happens. It's been, as I say, sort of half term. People have sort of been away and things and everything. So there are spaces available at Vegas Vixen's, our party, next week at Liberty Elite in Leicestershire. You can stay over, make a weekend of it.
Absolutely.
A naughty night with us.
We've got a new game.
We have got a new game.
Yes.
That's going to be fun.
I always forget what it's called. What is it called? Bingo?
Casino Bingo.
Casino Bingo. That's
Casino Bingo. It's a little bit of a cross between kind of like pontoon and bingo. It's going to be fun.
It is, because we've got some very special cards, haven't we?
Supplied by Delicious Debs.
Yes.
And she's threatening to flog anyone that doesn't give them back. So that will be quite interesting.
All I'm going to say is they may have a naughty theme to them.
The cards are positively filth.
And the prizes are even filthier.
Absolutely.
So you definitely don't want to miss that.
No, definitely not.
And it is Hollywood night, so we've got our resident photographer.
We've got our resident photographer. He's booked in. That's going to be great. We've got fabulous DJ. It's just going to be the ultimate night.
It is. So if you want to dress up, get a bit glammed up, have some really nice photos of yourselves.
Black tie is optional.
It is. You don't have to.
Dress like a film star. Look like a film star. Fuck like a film star.
Do you know what a film star fucks like?
It depends on the film star.
Are we on to like Debbie Does Dallas or something?
I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying that thought. So until then, we'll see you next week, dear listener.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.